Hi, thanks for joining me today as I get ready. I wanted to try some new things today and to revisit some really old things that I have that I just haven't worn in a really long time. So first we're going to start off with a new sunscreen to me. So this is the Biossance Squalane and Zinc Sheer Mineral Sunscreen. And this was just recently released and I purchased it right when it came out. I just haven't gotten around to opening it. I was trying to use up some other stuff that I had. So this is broad spectrum SPF 30 UVA and UVB. And it's supposed to be a sheer daily mineral SPF 30 facial sunscreen that blends easily into skin and leaves a lightweight finish. Supposedly it does not leave a white cast. So the active ingredient is zinc oxide, 14%, and we will see. So I wanted to kind of just see how well this performed under makeup and how it looked on the face. So this is 50 milliliters or 1.7 ounces. And just so you know, Biossance is, a clean skincare company. So they do use plant-derived squalane, not from sharks. So that is one of their big advertising points. All right, so it comes in a squeeze tube and it is white and it's not really scented. Let's see, you can shear it out. I feel like on darker skin tones, you might still see a white cast, but let's see. Just gonna kind of rub this in all over. All right, so I'm gonna just do my neck as well and kind of let everything calm down a little from all of the pressure. Let it sit for a couple minutes and I'll be right back and we'll take a closer look at how it appears on the skin. Thanks. Okay, so it's been about a minute. I don't feel like waiting for it to like totally sink in, so I think this is good. But I just wanted to go over some points about this. So I think it really did sheer out. So I thought at first there might be a little bit of whiteness I could see on my skin. This is where I swatched it and kind of blended it in. It really just, you get a little bit of a shine, but really there's no whiteness. And I definitely don't see any on my actual facial skin either. So I just wanted to put a little bit on my hand and kind of rub that in again for you guys so you can kind of see. It does have, a lightweight texture and it's not really scented. So here you can see it go on. You can see it definitely looks a little bit whiter here at first, but then it kind of sinks in and will disappear. So you can see it's already starting to do that. So I was wrong. It may actually work well for darker skin tones as well. And I believe in their advertising campaign, they did apply it to people with darker skin tones to show that it did not, leave a white cast. But I kind of never really believed those things till I tested myself. So yeah, overall, I think it really ended up being very sheer. Texturally, it feels like a sunscreen. It is lightweight. I do feel tackiness to my skin. There's no real scent to it, like of any kind. I would say it's unscented. It doesn't smell like sunscreen. I don't really smell much of anything. And overall, it feels fine on the skin. We'll see. I mean, I don't expect to be getting sunburn or anything today. So, I won't be able to test how well it works in a really hot summer day or anything like that. However, I think for a daily sunscreen, so far it seems good. All right, so moving on. I wanted to test some things that I have as samples today. So I'm gonna test, this is the Makeup, I just have a little sample here of the Makeup Forever Reboot Foundation. And I got this a while ago. I don't remember what shade it is, and I can't really read the handwriting on this. So I will look it up and try and figure it out, but it looks like it says 4218. So I will kind of have to see what that that is. All right. So here's the shade that I got. Let's just dab a little bit here. And it kind of blends in. Here, I'll do that again right here. Let's go a little bit more. All right. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this, like whether this is a foundation that's going to work well for my skin tone or not, because some of the things I've read made it sound like it is better for people, I want to say it was oily skin. So I don't know. We will see. But I figure might as well try it. I'm going to try out a bunch of things today. So I'm just going to dot this around. Wow, picked up too much. All right. And then let's use, I'm going to use this, it's the Kevyn Aucoin Slanted Foundation Brush. And so this does have a scent. I'm not quite sure what it is. But it's a little perfumey. I actually don't really know if I like that. So it's not like a really strong bothersome one, but it does remind me of perfume. And I just don't really like having that in general. I smell it more on my brush than from here. Just see. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a scent. I feel like I smell like a little vanilla or something in it. But it does remind me like of a vanilla perfume type scent. And I would just prefer not to have that, especially in my foundation. So we'll see. Finish wise though, I think the finish looks nice. It is a little bit dewier. I think that was one of the features of this particular foundation, but I think the color match is pretty good for me. And I think it actually has like a nice look to it, nice finish. So that part I like. We'll see how it wears. All right, now for concealer today, I wanted to try, I've got some samples. I got these actually samples in the mail of the Kosas, here it is, the Kosas Revealer. This is the new Revealer concealer. And, you know, I just got like a sample thing with 4 different shades. These are the 2 that would probably work best for me. So we have shade 1, which is Porcelain Cool, and 3.5, which is Fair to Light Neutral. And I think, let's start off with Porcelain Cool. See how that goes. All right, so I'm gonna just kind of squeeze this on the back of my hand. Ooh, I definitely should not have squeezed so much. But here we go. So this looks like it might be a good shade for me. All right, so just gonna tap that in. It is a little bit of a dewier concealer than like say like the Pat McGrath combination I've been wearing most often. Like I can feel it. It's a little more tacky feeling. I think this color is okay for me. I do feel like it's a little yellow though. It says it's cool. It doesn't really look yellow on my hand, so I don't know. Maybe it's actually feel like where it's meeting the reboot. Maybe they just don't work so well together. But I feel like I see like a yellow kind of halo here. So, oh no, I will have to play with this one with another foundation as well. Thankfully, I still have more left in this little tube. And so I think I'm gonna set everything with the, let's go with the Givenchy Prisma Libra in Mousseline Pastel. I'm going to decant a little bit in the lid. And I'm gonna start off just taking my finger into the purple shade to kind of go under the eyes a little bit. And again, this concealer is feeling a little bit more wet. I don't know if it's my sunscreen or the reboot, so I'm gonna definitely test this again to see, but appearance wise, I think it looks pretty good. So far actually, I think overall everything's looking pretty decent. I think it's a good foundation match. I like the concealer. So all right, I'm just gonna get a little bit onto the Surratt base brush. Gonna just set everything. Okay, so I think that just mattified it a little bit. And I think moving on for samples, actually for blush today, I wanted to try something that I haven't used in a really long time. So I bought these Daniel Sandler watercolor cheek colors like a long time ago, and just I haven't used them too much. So I thought we would play with them. This one looks really sparkly. This is So Pretty. And I also have Cherub, which is a little bit peachier. I think today let's go with the peachy one. So I'm gonna shake this. I'm gonna apply it to the back of my hand and use a brush to apply this. So if you are not familiar with these, they come in this little squeeze tube and you really just need like a tiny bit. It is like pure liquid, like it's a really thin liquid. So, you know, like very thin. So I'm just gonna kind of spread it out a little bit here, and I think we'll go in with the Rephr 18. I'm gonna kind of dab it in here a little bit, get some on my brush, and apply it. So these are very natural looking. Sometimes I apply these with my fingers, but I think a brush application with this, when you kind of spread it out a little bit, it's a little bit more even. All right, so you can see it just gives a really natural flush, and that's the whole point of these. You know, it's like supposed to be like a watercolor where it kind of blends really easily and looks very sheer and light. So I think that looks pretty good. I might add a little bit more later, but let's see how the rest of my look goes first. So for eyeshadow, I actually wanted to pull out this from Chanel. So this is one of the Ombre Premiere eyeshadows, and this is number 38 Titane. And I purchased this and then sort of forgot all about it. So I purchased it maybe last August. And then I purchased some other things at the same time, like the Chantecaille luminescent eye shades, and I just kind of forgot about it. So I wanted to use this today. I'm going to start off by using a little bit of a primer. So I'm using the Guerlain Eye Stay Primer. And I'm just going to pat a little bit of this on to my eyelids first. So I just get a very, very tiny bit and spread it out. All right, and I'm really just gonna go in, well, actually, let's go ahead and do like a base shadow first. So I think, let me go ahead and get the Chanel Elemental Quad. So this one is pretty neutral. I wanna go into this matte shade here, and I'm gonna use this kind of as like my crease shade first. So let's go in with, okay, so we're gonna go in with the Sonia G Worker Pro brush. And again, this is the Elemental number 352 quad. And I'm gonna start this in my crease. So it's kind of like a dusty rose neutral kind of shade. Okay, so I'm going to use the same brush. I'm just wiping off anything that's left on it on my cloth. And I'm going to go into the Titane. And sometimes I just use my fingers for this shade, but it actually goes on really well with a brush too. You get a lot of pigment with it. And this is obviously a metallic shade, but I love greens and I really love this color. So I'm doing more of a tapping motion on the lid and then kind of spreading it to kind of deposit the color, but I'm going lighter in the crease because I kind of want it to blend in with that matte shade from the Elemental, so it gets a little bit lighter there. And I'm just going to apply a little bit more right along the lash line so it's a little bit deeper there. So okay, I kind of want to use this under my eyes too. This brush is a little big, so I'm going to reach in and get, this is the Sonia G Smudger one, and I'm going to take this on the tip, the Titane, and just kind of go underneath. All right, so for eyeliner today, actually, I know what to try for eyeliner today. Hold on one second. Okay, so if you've watched my channel before, you know that I'm always on the hunt for a fantastic green liquid eyeliner. This is not a new eyeliner. Well, it's new to me, but I've never tried it before. This is one of the Chantecaille Les Pearl metallic eyeliners. And I purchased the green shade, which is Vert. And we can test this out today. So I haven't tried this yet. I just bought this recently, I think from Neiman Marcus or Saks. All right, so here we go. Let's see what it looks like. All right, so it's actually got more of a black base with some green in it, and it's very sparkly. So it's not exactly what I was thinking. But when the light hits it, you can see this pretty emerald shade. So let's go ahead, we'll try it. I'm gonna kind of go light, and I'm not doing like a wing or anything, so I'm just gonna kind of follow the eye shape. So I just did a little bit on the lower lash line there to just kind of exaggerate that corner a little bit. Okay, so there is the green eyeliner. I think for the lower lash line, I'm going to go in and add a little bit more. This is the Gel Flash from Linda Hallberg, and I am going to just add this to my waterline here. And I'm just going to smudge in a little bit in the lash line as well for the inner portion. And I'm taking the smudger brush that I use for the under my lower lashes, and I'm just smudging that in a little bit. Okay, so I think for the inner corner, I want to do something a little different. So I'm going to go in with the Viseart Petite Pro Palette, the Shoo Shoo, and I'm going to go into this shade here, this Popsicle. And I'm taking this same Smudger One brush, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit right to the inner corner here. All right, so it's something a little different than what I usually do, but I don't know. I just kind of interested in the pink and green together. So I think it's kind of cool. All right, so let me just do my mascara real quickly. I'm going to do this off camera. I'm going to use the Lancome Monsieur Big and this Raw Elevate eyelash curler. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I just added the mascara, and I think I am going to add a little bit more blush. So I'm going to go back in with, actually, let's use the other Daniel Sandler color that I have, So Pretty. And I'm just going to add a little bit of this over top. So I'm going to add a little bit to my hand here. And you can see that this one here is more sparkly, metallic highlighter type. So there's an up close of that. So this is definitely going to be a little bit, say, more metallic looking, I guess. So I'm going to use the same brush. I'm just going to kind of put this on top here. So the good thing about these Daniel Sandler blushes is once you get the application down, like, you know, like I felt like I had a little bit too much on this side, so I couldn't really blend it nicely with the brush. So I switched sides, and it's still kind of letting you blend afterwards. It doesn't dry down immediately, so you have a little bit of time to do this. All right, so I think that's going to be it for blush. And I think for highlight today, let me see here. I think for highlight, we'll try this. This is the Liquid Illuminator Icing from Daniel Sandler. It's just like a little sample size. And I think we're just going to apply a little bit of this. So I'm just going to shake this. I have never tried this, but it looks like a milky pink, a little bit deeper than like the Rosy Glow. Yeah, it's definitely more Easter egg pink. All right, so I'm going to actually kind of dab this one on with my fingers. You can see how, yeah, it is kind of similar to the Rosy Light Drops. These are definitely much more liquidy than those are. I'll color swatch those in just a second on my other hand so you can kind of see. It's a little bit of a, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't sheer out as much as the Chanel drops do. So you end up with a little bit more of a pink look. All right, let's go ahead and swatch these. Okay, so this is the Daniel Sandler color in Icing, and you can see it's like a really light pale pink, and then it is metallic. And these are the Chanel Rosé Light Drops, and you can see it's a peachier pink. So if I shear these out here, okay, and then shear this out here. The Daniel Sandler actually, they shear out very similarly. I'm not sure if you can tell, the colors look very similar when they actually shear out. You don't really notice so much of a tonal difference with those. One thing to note though is the texture of the Chanel is thicker, and when you shear it out, it just feels like the Daniel Sandler really feels like water. So, you know, when water evaporates, that's what it feels like when it's dry, you know, and this will have like a little bit of the Chanel has a little bit of a texture. You can still kind of feel it. Not like it's sticky or anything, but just, you know, you can feel product there. So, yeah, they actually both look very, very similar once you shear them out. All right, so there is that. And I think finishing powder today, let me go ahead and use, this is the GRWM Meteorites in Light. And I'm going to go ahead and use the Chikuhodo FO3 brush. And when I use a fluffy brush like this, I just get a little bit up on here, and I love the smell of these. The violet scent, just think it's really pretty. And I just feel like the Meteorites always give me more of like an airbrushed look to everything. It just kind of looks more finished. So I love the Meteorites. All right, so I think that's it for face. For brows, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going in with the Wander Beauty. This is the Frame Your Face brow pencil and taupe. And I'm just going to keep it light and use the pencil. And I just draw in a little bit where it's sparse. I don't really do too much to my brows, but I do have like spots that look a little sparse to me, so I like to fill in a little bit. But I have to say, I'm not somebody who does brows every single day. And when I want to keep it light, I tend to rely on just a pencil. And then I always use a spoolie afterwards. And I've used the spoolies after using like brow gels. So there's always like maybe like a little bit of the pigment left from that on here. So I think that kind of helps also. Not that it's wet or anything, but that's it for my brows. And I think all we have left to do is lips. So actually for lips, I do have some samples of lip products, and I have samples from Chantecaille. So these are some of the lip cheeks. I have Camellia, Tea Rose, and Tuberose. And I think today, let's go with the Tuberose. It's the brighter pink down here at the bottom. So it comes in one of those little foil wrapped packets. And I'm not sure where my lip brushes are right now, too hard to find. So I'm gonna use this. This is the Sisley Concealer Brush that actually came with the phyto-cernes eclat, but it's small and I think it works well for lips. So sometimes I reach for this for that. All right, so being packed in this little container, it is, you know, a little firmer. But typical lip cheek texture. Feels very pleasant on the lips. Just add a little bit more. Okay, so I think that finishes off the look. And just take my hair back down. All right, so that's everything. So the sunscreen, you know, I think it played well under the foundation. I do think it might have made things a little bit tackier than normal, but I'll double check that. I'll be using that for a few times and then let you guys know, because I'm not sure if it's the Reboot sample or, you know, because I think that's a glowier foundation in general, or if it's the sunscreen poking through. Concealer, I'll also test longer and let you guys know. I think it looks pretty good though. And again, I still feel like I see like a little bit of yellowish right here, but it might just be where it's meeting the Reboot. So Reboot is a little bit warmer than the concealer is when you swatch them side by side. So I think that's what the issue is. I don't think it's the concealer. So I will test the wear of both of these and leave an update. Okay, so it's been 8 hours and I just wanted to give you guys an update on how everything wore. So let's go ahead and start off with the foundation and the concealer. So the foundation, again, is the Makeup Forever Reboot Foundation, and I'm using a sample. The color is actually Y218. So I couldn't read it at first. What I thought was a 4 was a Y. So anyway, I think the color match is great. I think out of all the foundations that I have, the best color matches that I have come across for my skin is actually like the Guerlain L'Essentiel in 00N and the Clé de Peau Cream to Powder Foundation in, was it I-10 or I-110? But those are probably the best color matches that I've come across. And I think this goes right up there with them with color match. So I really think the color is a great match, and I think that helps it look fantastic on the skin. So I personally really like this foundation so far. I'm going to test it without the sunscreen underneath as well and see if like the texture and everything is still the same, because you can see it does have a little bit of a dewy look. And I did set it with the powder, and I would definitely do that again because I thought it was just a little bit too dewy without the powder for me. But when I touch my skin, you know, it's not like it's tacky or anything like that, but it does feel well moisturized. So I think this is actually going to be great for spring, summer, you know, because I think that dewy look, for me at least, is something I wear more during those months. And I think this looks really, really natural. And after 8 hours coming in close, you know, I don't really see any breakup or anything. Like usually I would see like maybe some around my lip lines and so forth, see like some gathering of the product, or like here around the nose. And there might be a little breakup up here on the bridge of my nose, but honestly, I've been blowing my nose a few times throughout the day, and it might be from that. So I'm hesitant to say that it's actually the foundation that's breaking up, because I don't really have any issues in my two most common trouble spots. So foundation, definitely gonna play with it more. The sample that I have is actually not as much as it looks like. This is actually only filled maybe a quarter to a third of the way up. So I have, you know, enough to try it a few more times, hopefully. But that's about it. And foundation, yeah, so far, really like it. I'll update you guys after I've used it more and in other conditions, but it's definitely very good so far. The concealer. So I guess I looked it up, and I guess it's Cosa and not Kosas, because apparently the S is silent. But I think the formula of the concealer has held up really well. So you look closely, you know, you're not really seeing any real signs or anything. I think the color match on this is not quite perfect for me, and I still see this like yellowish look, and I'm not really sure why, because the concealer is actually more cool toned, and when you sheer it out, it doesn't really look yellow on my hand or anything like that. So I will test it to see whether or not it's like a reaction with the Reboot foundation or what. But you know, I do actually like the formula of this, and it is a more dewy looking concealer, which ideally would pair well with this. So I'll play with that more, but I think it has held up well, and I think the formula is nice. So I like both of those products, and I want to test them further. Eyeshadow and everything has held up well. I used the Guerlain Eye Stay Primer, and you know, that's, for me, it's an okay primer. I like the way it feels because it feels more like I'm putting like an eye cream on. It's very, it feels more like a lotion. So it doesn't get that like dry down, chalky feeling that some primers get. But I also have noticed that around 8 to 9 hours, I do get creasing with some shadows with it. So it's not the best, but I do think it's nice for a light primer because it does help the eyeshadow go on smoothly and, you know, sheer out well. But I don't really notice it helping so much with creasing. So if you have like oily eyelids, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're just looking for something to help apply shadow better, it's a nice option, and I feel like it doesn't dry out my eyelids at all. So I think that's a nice option. All right, eyeliner. I do like this eyeliner. This is the Chantecaille Le Pearl, and I think it is a very pretty eyeliner. It's still not my perfect green, so if anybody has seen a really nice emerald green liquid eyeliner, that is what I'm looking for. I just haven't, basically the shade this is when it hits the light is perfect, but it's not like that all the time because of that black base. So I'm looking more for that emerald without the black base. So yeah. Now for the Daniel Sandler products. Okay, so as for the blush, I do feel like it has shifted down my cheek a bit. So I see blush all the way down here, which is definitely not where I applied it. I do think it has given a very nice soft blended watercolor effect to my face. And I can still see the highlight. The highlight has held up well. I do think maybe that has gotten a little bit lower also. So I do feel like those products might have shifted down a bit throughout the day. But I think they still are very nice. I think the blush is a bit more muted than when I first applied it. So I do feel like it has faded a bit. But this highlight, the icing, where is it here? This I think is very, very close in color to the Chanel Rosé Light Drops. So if you're looking for a cheaper option, or if you just want to try it out, I think I purchased this little sample size. I forget how much they charge, but they're not expensive, and a little bit will last like forever with this because really it's like water. So you want like one little drop. But if you're looking to just kind of test out the color and the idea of using some sort of liquid, again, the Chanel is thicker, so it's a little bit of a slightly different application, but for the most part, I think when these two products sheer out, they both look almost identical to each other. So I think this is a good option, especially if you're looking for maybe a cheaper alternative to the Rosé Light Drops. I think the Rosé Light Drops are exclusive to Chanel.com, which also might make it a little bit harder to get for some people. So this Daniel Sandler Illuminator in Icing, again, the color, once you shear it out, blend it out to put on, it's pretty darn close. So I think it's a good alternative to that. And this is the original, I guess the Rosé Light is technically after that. So again, they do look very different though in the bottle, but once you shear them out, they look about the same. Everything else I think is, nothing new. And I did actually switch my lip product. I'm wearing the Dior lip gloss because that's just what I had at my desk when I applied last. So that is everything for today. And thanks so much for joining me. And I hope you guys had a great day. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Any experience you've had with any of these products, I'd love to hear them down below in the comment field. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hit that little subscribe button, and I will see you guys soon. So thanks again, and I hope you have a great, safe, and healthy day, and enjoy.